Joe, regards the game against Wales, obviously you've had a decent look at it now. I'm sure you've looked at it a few times. I think you might have even used the term yourself, narrow in defence at times in the post-match press conference. I've heard that term used by a lot of pundits and analysts since the game. How do you reflect on it now? What are your thoughts on it now?
Specifically defensively, I think inevitably all teams get a bit narrow sometimes when they're feeling a bit stressed, when a team get the advantage line on them or get a half line break, or there's a poor collision that they win well and you've got to go backwards. You don't quite get the numbers that get around the corner to balance up the sides necessarily because you go back and around. So particularly when they're playing off fast ball, we've got to be able to adapt to those situations. You can't just fly off and fire at people and leave yourself short on the edges. So it's about getting that balance. And so, you know, in this very room this morning, we looked at a bit of footage, committed to the system that allows that flexibility, and hopefully those solutions will have been part of today's training and will form part of next week's preparation. Does
it happen that kind of evolves when guys play together? Because as good as you were on Saturday, you'd a few guys who weren't that experienced, you'd guys who hadn't played together that much as combinations. So do some of those defensive lapses, I'll use that term, it's probably the wrong term, but does some of the leaving yourself open out wide channel on the wide channels come from that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it does. You know, Scotland got us there last year a couple of times, particularly with Stuart Hogg hitting into that wide channel with his acceleration and power. So you know, we've got to be ready for that. I think at that stage, Gary Ringrose was quite young in his Test career. I think he's had 11 Tests now, but that was pretty early on for him. So he was still learning, and I think on the back of that, even in the second half, they didn't get the same opportunity. So we've got to make sure that we start like we did in the second half, not like we did in the first half, because within that first quarter, they'd put us under a lot of pressure and got those early tries.
And you must have been delighted with Chris Farrell. He went forward every time he got the ball. He looked comfortable out there. But do you think we still have even to see the best of him, because his handling skills and his passing range is amazing? Maybe we didn't see a whole pile of that on Saturday as well as he played.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just the opportunity that you get or where you are on the pitch that allows you to show the full gambit of what you're capable of. And I think against Argentina, we saw him get a pass that goes to the edge, a good pass with flat width, and at the same time that subtle pass that he got to Johnny Sexton, who then gave Jacob Stockdale the try against Argentina under the post. So, you know, he's got some subtlety in his passing game. He's also got some width in his passing game. I think the other part of his game that was pretty good was his defensive game. He probably was one of the guys who's new in, who hasn't had the experience of connecting up with too many people, who actually slotted in and made some pretty good defensive decisions. And once he makes a good decision, he backs it up with a fairly physical presence into the contact.
In terms of the defence, Joe, after something like that, do you look at Andy and say something's wrong with the system here, or do you look at the players and say you're not doing what Andy and me want you to do, lads?
No, look, I think Andy Farrell is world class, without a doubt. And I suppose, you know, I'm maybe not the best person to judge that, but in my experience working with him, and I've worked with a lot of other people, I think he's world class, and I think he's got the absolute confidence of our group, because they can see that the system works. We've just got to make sure we apply it at the right time in the right place, with the right people doing the same thing. I think if you look back at the game, sometimes one guy's doing this and one guy's doing that, and you know, there were very clear images that people know what we should be doing. And I think some of that is exuberance and somebody trying to make sure that they're contributing in a positive manner. But you know, any enthusiasm has to be tempered with just intelligence on the pitch, because teams are too good. You don't fly out at Hadley Parks or Scott Williams and expect them to feel ruffled. They're going to say, welcome, I'm going to manipulate you now and make something of this for my team. And I think there's some learning experiences there. Do we have to learn quickly? Absolutely, because we can't afford to keep conceding 3 tries a game. And he's doing a great job, not just with the team, but with individuals, trying to get them to understand pictures so that they make good decisions.